Hey everyone and welcome. In this video we look at more words of wisdom from one of the biggest critics of the left and its ridiculous and divisive politics. The man himself, Douglas Murray. Now, this is an article in a Spectator regarding Dawn Butler's previous attempt to frame cops as racist, and by extension the British system. I will put links to the article in the description, everyone. Before we get into this, I'd like to shamelessly plug my Twitter and Parler. I've been getting a lot of people saying they don't get notified, so please, if you can, just unsub and resub and click the bell to all, and it should enable you to be notified. If you're not getting notified though, follow me on my social media, that way you'll be notified whenever a new video goes live. Oh, and a huge thank you to everyone. And we need reminding what our politics is like.
Rotten.
She's so right, isn't she? Carry on, Anne.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Let's read this article, shall we? It's titled, Douglas Murray, When Everything is Racist, Nothing Is. Hearing that Dawn Butler MP has been pulled over by the Metropolitan Police, I briefly hope the taxpayer might get back the whirlpool bath she charged us on her parliamentary expenses. Let's have a glance at that, shall we? Labour selects ex-MP who quit amid expenses scandal to fight for Brent Central. So she was involved in the expenses scandal of 2009. She's also under fire at the same time for only going to 15 out of 64 committees for children, schools and families. Her excuse was she was ill or she had diary conflicts. Here's the headline: Dawn Butler under fire for missing key parliamentary committee meetings. So she's got no commitment either. Then there's this: will £66,000 expenses claim sink Labour MP Dawn Butler? You'd like to think so, and it did for a bit. She did quit, but she's back, isn't she? So she's been milking us for a considerable amount as well. 66,000, so significant in fact she quit rather than face the music. Didn't stop Labour taking her back after the media gave up though. What did she claim for? Well, as Douglas made out there, a jacuzzi and a food shop for 18 grand. MP with 2 homes minutes from Commons claims 37,000 expenses. So the fund that is normally to enable MPs from around the country to get a property in London just so they can spend more time in Parliament was abused by Dawn. She had 2 properties inside London, both of them within a very short distance from Parliament. So she's truly abusing the system. This is the system that's institutionally racist. Yep, this is the one. So this woman is corrupt, isn't she? And proven it in the past. And we believe her now, do we? No, we do not. Let's continue. Went off on a tangent a bit there, didn't I? The officers skipped the boot and went straight to the passenger side, where they found the member for Brent Central recording them with her phone and looking pleased as punch to audition as the new Rosa Parks. She looked like it was Christmas, in my opinion. Like she'd got the bite she's always wanted. She wasn't just pleased, she was overjoyed. As it happens, the footage she released showed the police being deeply polite, and they subsequently explained that the pullover had been due to a registration plate mix-up. But Butler claimed it was a case of the dreaded stop and search, and within hours she was on Channel 4 News being grilled by one of their crack interviewers. Oh, okay. Fatima Manji interviewed Butler how such a thing could happen to someone who a day earlier had been declared one of the 25 most inspirational women in Britain by Vogue magazine. Vogue is trash. The questions on Channel 4 News seem to have gotten easier since I last went on. Only for certain people, Douglas, only for certain people. A smiling Butler explained that this was all par for the course for an African Caribbean woman. She then claimed that the Met Police is institutionally racist and that Cressida Dickhead should spend all of her waking moments trying to eradicate institutionally, her words, racism from the Met Police. No, Dawn, Cressida Dickhead needs to concentrate on violent crime, terrorism and grooming, not looking after your self-entitled ass. The footage you personally released was cut and edited, proven now, to get it to fit your narrative. We know, we saw, you can't hide it, and you not releasing the full footage without any cuts proves your dishonesty, in my opinion. A day earlier, a black teenager had been macheted to death in broad daylight in front of shoppers on London's Oxford Street. 3 men aged 18 were arrested after arriving in hospital with stab wounds of their own. Apparently it is tied to the same incident, that as well. What normally happens at this stage, but don't quote me on that, it is just hearsay, is that the politicians and pundits debate the utility of stop and search. Some people say that stop and search saves young black lives. Others, like Dawn Butler, declare that stop and search is racist because it disproportionately targets people of the racial background who disproportionately do the stabbing. Then the stabbing continues. Now, at this point, do we think that the parents of that lad that were murdered would upset the cops were checking cars in the area? Do we think checking cars after the loved ones was snuffed out was racist in their eyes? That's what disgusts me of this. It removes more and more ability to maintain law and order by the police, doesn't it? If they're always going to be accused of being racist, even by politicians, what chance do they have, really? I don't mind admitting that I am growing tired of all the allegations. So are we, Douglas. When Butler tagged the Met Police as institutionally racist, I noticed myself for the first time vaguely shrugging. Not because actual racism isn't a horrible and ugly thing, but because the currency appears to have been inflated out of use. Over recent months, absolutely everything has been declared racist. Our entire history, our whole society, and every white person in it. So allegations about the Met have lost the piquancy they once had. I actually agree with that. It's lost all meaning whatsoever. Meanwhile, news of just how racist and awful the UK is appears to not have spread across the channel. Between Thursday and Sunday, 700 illegal migrants that we know of arrived in the UK by boat, largely courtesy of the UK Border Force. I actually call them the UK Border Farce. They're not a force, they're a people smuggling organisation backed by the government, in my opinion. The authorities helped the people smuggling networks by meeting the migrants a little way out in a channel. It seems like Douglas agrees with me, assisting them off their flimsy vessels and depositing them safely on British soil, where they can recover from the ordeal that is France. Exactly. Like the debate over stop and search, the discussion of what to do about law breaking on this scale is hobbled at the start. Because unless you say, let in these tired and huddled masses, then you will be accused of racism. Ponder out loud whether everyone from the developing world who wishes to move to the developed world is absolutely the same as a Jew fleeing Nazi Germany, and you will be accused of this same appalling vice. As it happens, a certain amount of vice, or at least by signalling, is good for stopping illegal migration. When faced with a surge in illegal migration earlier this decade, the Australian government let it be known that anyone trying to break into the country would see their boat repelled and spend months on a lonely island. While the international media decried this decision, attempts to break into Australia dried up. They did very quickly as well. Similarly, in 2016, the Danish Parliament voted in law that made it possible to take valuables from an illegal migrant up to the amount that their stay would cost the Danish taxpayer. I really like that one, to be honest. There were howls from the foreign media, and while I don't even know one case where the law was enacted, it proved very helpful in sending the message. In recent days, some Tories who wanted to sound tough have talked of sending in the Royal Navy, but on current performance that will simply allow more British vessels to pick up more migrants. Of the thousands who have broken into Britain already this year, all are put up in hotels and other accommodation at taxpayers' expense, and no one, not one, has been returned. Sorry to say this, Douglas, I've lost faith that the Tories even want to. Of course, at this stage, people tend to bow to the magisterium of the law, but immigration law has become a charade. By law, none of the recent arrivals should be here. According to the Dublin regulation, genuine asylum seekers ought to have claimed asylum in the first safe country they entered. By rights, every arrival should be returned to France, who should then return them to Italy or whichever country they came in from, who should then return them to the country in which they started. And this is a major problem. And why is that? Well, it's because of Labour and Labour supporters. Don't believe me? Check this article out, everyone. Migrant block. Labour backing law firm is blocking Channel migrants from being returned to France. Yep, they block all deportations. Duncan Lewis solicitors boasted that their legal threats meant 19 were removed from a Home Office charter flight on Wednesday. This Wednesday. All 19 had previously been through other European countries and should have their asylum claims dealt with under the EU's Dublin Convention. None of which happens, of course. It's a pretense, happily nodded along to by people who think they can afford it. We have an asylum system which the British public actually support, but we also have this strange bonus system where so long as you can complete the assault course and make it to Kent or the sea near it, then you're in. The only way to stop the crossings would be to let it be known that everyone who tries to enter this country illegally will be returned, having risked their lives and wasted their savings. But no politician will suggest it, for the same reason that they fear discussing stop and search and other policies, because to do so risks accusations of racism from insincere actors. And we've got to agree with him on that one, haven't we, everyone? Personally, I start to feel myself getting past all this. When everything has become racist, then nothing is. And the government should ignore the critics and just do whatever will stop the law breaking on land or sea. Now, what's my opinion on this? We as anti-racists as a country have become so scared of the slur, it's now been weaponised against us, hasn't it? Douglas, in my opinion, deserves a knighthood. He's one of the loudest sane English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish voices we have, and he should be rewarded, in my opinion. If you haven't read his last 2 books, I suggest you do. In regards to being in a racist country, we all know that's not true, don't we? And the lack of response to constant false accusations proves it even more, no matter what they say or do. He is 100% correct. I'm done with caring about accusations of racism. They have succeeded in making that term lose all of its power. That's on the baiters, not us, and I refuse to be scared off by wrong insults. I don't care anymore. But anyway, I would like to know your opinion on this one. Let me know, do you like Douglas Murray? Do you think he should be knighted as well? I think he should. I really do. I really do think the Tories need to listen to him. He seems a lot more saner than any of them, and he seems to have a lot more backbone than any of them as well. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Don't forget to share it out, everyone. I really do appreciate everybody that does. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.